Over my years as a realtor in Waterloo region, I've had the pleasure of meeting plenty of successful person. Here are some of their stories. Welcome to People Around Town. This is exciting for me. I have another Darryl with me, and not just a regular Darryl, a Darryl whose parents know how to spell his name properly, a Darryl that we have met, I guess, naturally, if you will, and I guess a long time, I'm going to call you a friend, over a decade and then some.
2 decades.
2 decades, almost 2 decades,
almost
not quite there. This is the one and only Darryl Haus, the founder of Grand Trunk Saloon, as well as Grand Surf, and instructor at Conestoga College, I think within the culinary and hospitality program. So many questions, but I'm just going to fill you guys in on a little bit of context. So I think I met Darryl through demanding to meet the man that made me enjoy a pastrami sandwich.
Yes.
I believe it was a special. So this was back at Peter Martin's, the 41. And that was, again, that had its time and place in history here. And there was a special that was on that was the pastrami sandwich, or the Reuben sandwich. And
pork belly pastrami.
It was a pork belly pastrami, right?
Yep.
And I think the staff, yes, Peter owned the restaurant, but I think the staff grew tighter and tighter with you as the years went on. And to me, they were your people, right? So there's some great staff that were there, right? Obviously, and somebody pretty much said it's a must that you try this. And I tried it, and I demanded to meet the chef. And once the chef came out, and his name was Darryl, and he was a nice guy, and I saw his smiling face, and his name was spelled perfectly.
Yep.
It's been history ever since. But we see each other in passing. You live a busy life. I do too. But I haven't really had the chance to sort of get the insight of what goes on in this industry that he finds himself immersed in and still helping other people with right now. Let's start with this. What made you get into the hospitality restaurant business? Like, when did you know this was going to be your thing?
Okay, so that's a funny story. So I started off as a dishwasher, and I worked for Greg Ferrangos at the Daily Grill restaurant.
Greg Ferrangos, yeah, Chris.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah, Chris's son. And I worked there. I think I was 13 or 14 years old, and I worked in the dish area. I think I worked in the dish pit, and I watched every Saturday and Sunday morning. I'd have to be there like 7 a.m., and my dad would drag me out of bed, drag me in there, and I watched the cooks like just sweating it out for 12 hours straight, and I'd watch the servers were, they were running around, people are yelling at them. It's just, and in the back, Greg would sit there smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee, counting stacks of money. And I was like, I want to do what that guy does.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what, he was the first one that sort of, he showed me that, you know what I mean? Like, it's a cool industry.
It's a cool industry, yeah.
You can sit there and sit there and drink coffee and smoke cigarettes and make a ton of money. And so then I knew at that moment that I wanted to own restaurants. That was my goal from...
At 13,
14, somewhere in there. And so then the next one was Malcolm Hendren. He was my welding teacher in would have been grade 10 at KCI, and he said he convinced all the guys that were in the welding program, that we should sign up for his culinary arts program. Right?
Oh.
He was a licensed welder, shop teacher, but he was also a Red Seal chef. And so
wow.
Yeah, it really amazing.
Did you know that at the time, or
no? I didn't know at the time. It was our shop teacher was telling us that we take a cooking class, right? So then, yeah.
Home ec or shop, right?
Yeah,
choose. Which one are you taking this term?
This is it. And,
right. And he's like, I got you right here.
Well, this is it. And back then, he had...
Sorry.
There was no... there was
I got excited.
back then there was no kitchen. Now they've got the state-of-the-art kitchen that Malcolm Henry put in there, but at the time it was a home ec room, right? So it was all this. It was this, but he wanted these welding guys, and my dad had been a welder, and I came from a long line of people that work with their hands, and so when given the opportunity, I was like, oh, sure, right? I'm working. I want to own a restaurant. I'm working for Angos, and so I take this culinary arts program. I love it, right? And I was terrible in school. Like, I was a terrible student, terrible teenager, just terrible in general. But then all of a sudden I found this thing that I really, really enjoyed, right? And I don't think I was quite as terrible then.
You're right.
Because then I worked, right? Because it's the one thing that the hospitality industry does is that you have to work, right? And so now I didn't have time to get into too much trouble because I was working every weekend, long hours, the whole 9 yards. So and then I was able to put my energy into something good. So then from there I bounced around. I did a whole bunch of cool stuff and eventually wound up with my Red Seal. I ended up as a chef. I worked at. I started working for Peter Martin as a garde manger cook, and moved up from there to executive chef. I think I was with him for 9 years, and then after that, I left there to open up my first place. I bought Hogtails Barbecue from Chris Corrigan from Lancaster Smokehouse.
The Hogtails was a special spot.
Yeah, that was fun. That was that was cool, and that was like learned a lot of, because you can, you know what I mean. I think somewhere in there I messed up my hand. I had an accident when I was building the bar there, and it doesn't matter how good of a cook you think you are. When you go into business for yourself, all of a sudden, how good of a cook you are doesn't matter anymore. Right. Now you have to be good at everything.
At business. Right? So at what point in time now, when you're at Peter Martin's, you also had a affinity for the books, right? Were you doing a lot of?
Well, that's a really good question. So there was a Peter ran a tight ship. Like Peter was he's a really close friend of mine, and he had a way of looking at things. He wasn't most popular with people. He wasn't most popular with staff. He could be very challenging to work for at sometimes, but he had an idea, and he stuck to it, right? And he had been Peter Martin's 41, Peter Martin's 20 King, whatever you want to call it. It was 35 years in business, right? So anybody can say whatever they want about him, but the guy was
35 years in business,
successful, and he retired, right? And how many restaurateurs do you know that actually retire?
True.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not a thing.
Yeah.
So it was like getting to work with Peter. I got to meet some really incredible people. I'm being there for 9 years, and one of the guys one of his circle was a guy named Mark Kraft, who passed away last year. And Mark Kraft was just a juggernaut in the Stratford food and hospitality scene, and he was a guy that was, again, stuck in his ways, and he never had a point of sale system, but the guy was smart when it came to numbers and it came to like running the business end of things. And again, not always popular with staff, not always popular, with the community, but he knew what he was doing, right? And it was like, when you think about like some of the people that make restaurants work, right, are not always the people you think they are, right? Like Trunk, Surf, Hogtails, right? The person that has made those work is not me, right? We have this amazing accountant, right, that's been with me for as long as I've been in business, and she's the one that, like, if left to my own devices, I'd be in jail. Right.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And without Vicky, right, our Vicky,
yes,
right, the business would have never worked. Nothing would have worked, right? I would have outspent or whatever, and we would have crashed and burned a long time ago, right? But with her sort of as like the brains behind the operation, right, it gives us time to be creative. It gives us time to like do cool stuff because we know there's enough money in the bank account. Okay. We know the bills are paid, right? And I think in the hospitality industry, oftentimes we forget about those like unsung heroes that sit in cubicles or sit in basement offices or sit there pounding greasy invoices, right? That fell behind a fridge.
Right.
We don't give those people enough credit because they're the ones that are actually making the stuff, right?
Yeah, like keeping it going,
and keeping it right. So
so. And then Vicky you met through Peter, or
Vicky I met through Chris Corrigan.
Okay.
Because she had worked for Chris Corrigan for they'd known each other forever, right? And she was the bookkeeper at Hogtails, and so when I took over, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do your books," and I was kind of like, "No, you're not. Like, I don't even know you."
Yes.
Right. And she's like, "Well, I've been doing the books here since they opened."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay." And so for the first, probably first 2 years, she's doing the books, and I'm like.
Learning.
I'm doing like behind her back, doing the same thing, just double because I didn't trust anybody.
Oh,
right?
right, true.
I'm a brand new chef owner. I'm one step above common criminal, right? And like all I can imagine, everybody's trying to steal from me. Everybody's trying to rip me off. Obviously, this bookkeeper's like she's taking trips. She's robbing me blind, right? And then I realized she's like the most honest person in the whole world, and she's far more successful than I'll ever be.
And it just freed you up to do
other things, right? And to like be my. Be my conscience in some cases. She's been the one that's been like inspirational in terms of like, she's part of the reason to get up and do it every single day, because if I don't, she'll be mad at me. Right. So it's like, those are the people that make restaurants work.
Did she like the takeout and makeout Valentine's Day
She loved
promo?
it. Yeah. No, she loved that stuff. And she's the one that when you get an idea, you call Vicky and be like, Vicky, I got this idea.
Can this act? And if it passes her, it's good.
And then she'll be like, she's like, I'm not creative. Right.
Yeah.
She'll say, you're effed. Right. Yeah. She's like, if you don't fix this in the next, you have 2 months to fix this, or you're going to be like living in a van. Right.
That's true.
Right. And I'll be like, oh God, we got to fix this. Right.
I remember hearing about this. I think I was there one time because Vicky would normally come in late afternoon, right? Yep. So in between, you'd have some shutdown time, and that's normally when she'd show up. And then that's normally when I would show up, I'm a realtor. I have the latitude not to do lunch exactly at lunchtime. Why wait when you can just show up at 1:30? You know what I mean? Like have a snack at 11. It's not a big deal. Okay, so I guess that's the business part, the creativity. What was the first? I'm gonna ask what was your first dish you made? Is possible that you're like, wow, I can do this? Or was the first spin or first idea and spin that you executed that you're like, okay, I am pretty darn good? And what was the first drink you made where you're like, this is going to be a problem? Meaning this is going to be great, but drinking terminology.
I don't think the food thing. I don't think I've got there yet.
Oh, stop!
Stop! I think there's been some
spoil lies like a rug.
No, I've made some. There's been some good dishes and stuff like that, but I find food to be very challenging. Like it's always like you're always getting better, and it's easier to critique other people's stuff than it is to like do your own really good. But like, I think one of my favorite. I think the pork belly pastrami. That was one of my favorites. Oh man, fried chicken, right?
Fried chicken
was a big one.
I think it still is. I think that's a legendary fried chicken. If you guys haven't had the Grand Trunk fried chicken, firstly, as tasty as it might be, especially when you're hungry, Popeye's fried chicken, we're not even sure if it's chicken, so that doesn't quite count. Plus, it's got bones in it.
Yeah.
Other than that, guys, the Grand Trunk, fried chicken. Just a little side note. How much is it again for a bucket? You can still buy buckets, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk to your people.
Yeah,
it's worth it. It's worth it. So, buckets of chicken.
Yeah.
Amazing. There's also, you might have a good family hot sauce.
Oh yeah, that's what the hot sauce. That's funny. The hot sauce is the thing because that's been around since like from Peter's
Peter did the hot sauce.
No. Peter was I worked for Peter when I came up with that hot sauce, and Peter is, said it before. Peter was a hard guy to work for, but Peter made you better. Okay. Right? Because he didn't pull punches. If something wasn't good, he'd be like, "That's not very good."
He just
right. He was never polite about And now it's 20 years later, he's one of the kindest people in the entire world. and he's always like, you call him anytime, day or night, he's there for you.
That's
right?
awesome.
But when it came to cooking, he is unforgiving, right? Like if you give him something bad, he will pick it apart in front of you. And
I would rather him do it than a client.
No, I would rather a client do it. How often do you disappoint your dad? You know what I mean? Like that's how it feels, right? But it was like, he's a guy that, you know what I mean? He's a guy that would push you to be better, right?
So just as an example, in that case, was there just a missing piece of hot sauce?
No,
there was no hot sauces, or there was too many hot sauces, or you're paying too much for hot sauce? Like, as an idea, how did that come about? Because not only was there one hot sauce, there were 3 that I know of.
Oh, right.
So like
the three was a mistake though. That was like you made a perfect hot sauce and then you tried to do it again twice. And
but you did.
Work.
It was the stoplights.
They were really good. Yeah, the stoplights. I forgot about that, to be honest with you.
So there was, if I remember correctly, there was a cherry bomb.
Yeah.
There was the sweet potato. And there was the green one.
And there was a smoked jalapeno.
Who comment below. So was it just one of the things so what was the first hot sauce?
The cherry bomb.
The cherry bomb.
Yeah.
Okay. And was that something that was marinating in your head over this, or did you see it somewhere else?
When I was in New Orleans for a while.
Here we go. Okay.
And so then there was like condiments are a big deal there.
Yeah.
And so it was like getting to try different hot sauces and realizing like hot sauces didn't have to be stupid hot. Like they were meant to be like good, right? They were meant to be like a condiment that it was never meant to hurt anybody.
Right.
And so then that changed the game. And so then when you start like
playing around
and you're like young chef and you're all you're all fired up and you're trying all this cool stuff and then eventually you figure out that it's not about. There's too many ingredients, and you start taking away ingredients, and all of a sudden things start to get better, right? The less stuff you fool around with, and so then you get down to like the cherry bombs, some salt and some vinegar, and then all of a sudden it's like
a great hot sauce.
It's a great hot sauce, right?
And so again, did Peter say to you, "Hey, we need a hot sauce," or did you have a client that went through and asked if there was a hot sauce, and you said, "Well, all we have is Frank's and Tabasco"?
No, it was like we wanted something that went well with it, because you got to remember, like back then, fried chicken wasn't a thing, right? Like 20 years ago, there was KFC, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like fried chicken was like a fad that never went away. It was like the last fad before things got weird. You know what I mean?
Maybe we'll touch on weird in the future here.
But it was like one of those things where you came up with a good fried chicken, but fried chicken was still like
needed something.
It needed something, right? So it was like that was the one thing that it needed, and then we made that thing, and it was like, hey, that's cool.
That's awesome. So okay, all right. So now jumping to hogtails.
Fast forward, now we're in hogtails.
Well, we're back to hogtails.
Yeah, back to hogtails.
When did you know it was? Because you're a Kitchener guy.
Yeah.
Right? And hogtails is like the opposite of Kitchener.
Yeah.
Where it was located. So up across from, now it's called Laurel Heights.
Yeah.
Collegiate Institute.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't necessarily think that would be the place for a barbecue joint.
Barbecue joint.
Right?
Yeah. No.
What sort of... What was the reason or what made you do the move back to DTK? Because to me, I'll level with you, brother, over the past 20 years, almost quarter century, you and the flavor you provide to the downtown Kitchener, you have been a key component of the culture of downtown Kitchener.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So what said time for me to get back home? Okay,
so Grand Trunk was hatched. The idea for Grand Trunk was hatched on the back porch of Peter Martin's on Halls Lane, staring at Classicos. Is that what it was?
Classicos, yeah. Was staring at Classicos. Okay.
Yeah. Sit there, smoke cigarettes, and drink coffee like in the afternoons, and stare and be like, "Man, that's such a cool spot. That's such a cool spot." And then I had a business plan. Like I had put all this stuff together, and I had the logo, and this was like 2000 and early, like 2007.
Okay.
Like long time ago.
So before you met me, just yeah.
And I had this business plan in my head because when I come back from around that time, I was down in New Orleans, and I came back, and it was like, and again, the world was a different place back then, right? Like the industry's changed so much in the last 20 years, but like back then there was very little gray area, right? There was family restaurants, there was like the Daily Girls of the world, these family places that are amazing, right? And that, like, we don't appreciate them enough because like it's a place you can go that's unpretentious, that's just good food, right? And it's just comfortable to get fed. And then there was fine dining,
right? And
there was nothing in the middle, right? And then like 20 years ago, all of a sudden, it was like, big shout out to Nick Benninger. When he did Nick and Nat's, that was like the first foray Kitchener saw into that casual fine dining space where it was like, it was cool, like food was cool, right? And it wasn't fine dining, and it wasn't family dining, but it was in that middle space, right? And that was like a really exciting time. And I don't know when we're ever going to get to really sort of repeat that, like that time when, before food was like, before we turned food into a geek sport.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like before there was foodies.
Can we blame the internet?
Oh, I totally blame the internet. Yeah, 100% blame the internet.
Yeah.
But like when it was just like when food was cool and like
you would still enjoy the moment, but you didn't have to share it with the world.
Right. It was just like there was this thing like you would go there was, remember Black Hoof in Toronto?
No.
There was a place called Black Hoof, Grant Van Geerman. And I remember I had a choice between, I was like poor cook, and I had a choice between a cheese board and a cab ride. Yeah. And I ended up having to walk like 20 some odd blocks because I chose cheese board, right? And so it's like, that's back when, and I was like, you wouldn't find that shit on Instagram. I wasn't like, cheese board, you know what I mean? And
you just did it.
You just did it because it wasn't like, nobody was watching. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that's the one thing. I'm not sure if we can ever have that again. Like, if we'll ever be able to have that again. But...
Yeah, and if you tried to have that, it'd be forced in and of itself. Like, you have to leave your phone at the door, and then everybody's sitting there with anxiety.
Yeah,
trying to have a meal.
Complaining because the food takes too long now.
Because you need to look at your phone.
You can't scroll.
Yeah. Well, maybe they can leave the phones in, like, a little area, just like somebody going for a cigarette. You can just go out and take a look at your phone, but you have to be out in the cold. Scrolling through your apps real quick. Right? And then you can come back in and rejoin the party. Yeah. It has to be cold though. It has to be cold. It has to be cold. You have to look like you're almost like a secondary citizen. Like you have a problem.
You got to be embarrassed.
You can go out here and scroll your phone.
When people are embarrassed to pull their phones out, I think that's when it's.
Then so I don't know. That's maybe a concept for. Yeah. Not quite yet.
Not yet. Not yet. I don't want to be the first guy to do it.
So. I love it. So then you came down here, and then at the same time, then surf came pretty quick succession.
Well, surf came because we had to, because we were so small, we were losing so many people, because we just couldn't fit them all in. So surf was like, first 2 years, surf never had a sign. Like surf never had there was no sign. We just needed a place to like send people, because it was like, because we were losing them because they'd come in and be like, sorry, we don't have tables. So then we like opened surf, and like the whole idea behind surf was like open something that was as cool but totally different. Yes. Right. So it's like you're not cannibalizing your own business, right? But then surf turned into its own thing.
Surf is my wife's favorite restaurant in town still to this day. Yeah. So it's like. So then, like, it turned into its own thing, and then all of a sudden it was like, call over to surf, be like, hey, we got some people we're sending over. They're like, we're on a wait list. Right. And it's like, and that was like a whole, and then every once in a while, like, it comes to the conversation about, like, should we do reservations? Right? Yeah. It keeps me up at night for, like... whether you do it or not. Yeah,
because we've never done reservations. We tried doing reservations once, when we first opened Trunk. Yeah. It was terrible. It was the dumbest thing in the entire world.
And why? Because you couldn't slot people in?
Well, shout out to some folks that had a restaurant over on Lancaster Street. Not Lancaster Smokehouse. One night I went, this is like a long time ago, right? They've moved since then. I wanted to go out for a drink and a snack after work. Yeah. And it was like 8 o'clock. And I walked in and I was like, hey, can I get a drink and a snack? Yeah. And they were like, "Do you have a reservation?" I was like, "No, I don't have a reservation." It's like 8:30 on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
I want a drink and a snack.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Sorry, we don't have any room."
Can you see in the restaurant at this point?
Yeah. And at that point, I was like, "This is stupid."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to like, do you know who the fuck I am? I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
But I'm a chef. That wants a drink and a snack.
Yeah.
I want to sit at your bar, and you're telling me I can't sit at the bar and have a drink and a snack because I don't have a reservation. And I was like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like, I'm never having reservations.
So
if you want a drink and a snack, you can come in.
I'll fit you in.
Or I'll be like, hey, look,
there's no room.
There's no room. You can't come in.
Yeah.
Because there's no room.
Yeah.
Right? Not because they don't fit into a certain time slot of, right? And so it was like when, every once in a while somebody gets mad and people get 1-star reviews all the time. Can't make a reservation. Right?
Yeah.
Because this is KW, everybody wants parking, everybody wants a booth, and everybody wants to be there at 7.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's like, and like, there's some restaurants, right?
Yeah.
That they build their whole model around that.
Sure.
Hey, we got parking, we got a booth, and you could be here at 7.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they're successful, right? But I think that like, I always wanted it to be like, hey, if you want to show up, either show up.
Yes.
Right, and you can come in, right?
I think I like food. Now, granted, if I go anywhere, I haven't done it in a bit. I got to get back to that. If I go anywhere, I would call them up and say, I'm going so and so. What place do I go and eat? And I remember one time I said I was going to Montreal. He said, you go in the Pied de Cochon and ditch all hangers on and go sit at the bar because you won't get a reservation. What's the format? There are places though that do seatings.
Yeah,
right.
Like,
because that is something that's something to help out the kitchen.
Yeah.
In terms of
100%. Like when you're doing like Bloom at Conestoga, we only do reservations, right? Because like if you just find yourself on that end of University Ave at a certain specific time and you happen to walk in, you happen to be running a class at that moment,
right?
Yeah,
how else you can do it?
Yeah, for sure have a sandwich.
You're right.
You know what I mean? But otherwise, like seatings are good. Like you know what I mean? When lots of restaurants that are
it'd be a
doing
higher
tasting menu,
thing.
doing tasting. But I'm not talking about those kind of restaurants. I'm talking about the kind of place where like you want some food and a drink. Right?
Well, then to the other side of I guess this is all just falling into play. This is kind of cool. So there's right beside Grand Trunk, and up the road is Grand Surf.
Yep.
And then right beside Grand Surf is something a little odd. I went there and I had the beef cheek, and I'm talking about odd duck. Now they're, I guess, up for a Michelin star. I guess they don't have one. I don't exactly know how that works.
They're recommended.
They're recommended.
They're recommended by the Michelin Guide. So it's a little bit different than the actual star.
Fair enough. I've been recommended by many a rich person to list another rich person's house, but in the end, Becky Deutschman comes away with the listing many a time. What does that mean? Like, first, what is a Michelin star? I've got almost too many questions right now. So, like, what is Michelin?
Okay, so you're familiar with tires, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're familiar with Michelin tires?
Yes.
Same thing.
Okay.
Right? So, long time ago, right, there was a tire company, right, that needed people to wear their tires out faster. Okay. So what better way to wear tires out than to give them points of destinations?
Oh.
Right? This is literally where the Michelin Guide came from. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not making this up. This is a true story.
Okay.
So then what happened was this idea was that, like, you know, like we talk about, like, CAA, right? Same idea. Get people out, get people driving around. It's tourism, right?
Yes.
It's and so Michelin came up with this guide of, at the time it was Europe, right? Of like destinations to go to eat.
Okay.
Right? And in the hopes that you'd wear your tires out faster and buy more tires. Literally the same. Michelin Man.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, same thing.
Same thing. Exact same thing.
Okay.
Right? Now the Michelin Guide is, like, you know, my experience with it is like I spent 2 weeks staging at a Michelin restaurant in France.
Staging means working
for free. Like,
cool.
Yeah. And the level, it was called Saison in Lyon, and it was the level of service and the level of atmosphere was stunning. Every every single aspect of everything was perfect, and that was 1 star.
Wow.
1 star, right?
Okay.
So to see 2 stars or 3 stars, I can't even, like, my simple brain can't process that. One of my favorite anecdotes one of the favorite lessons I think that I learned was on my first day at Saison. There was a table setting for 8, and there was a crease similar to the crease we see here.
Sorry.
But smaller.
Sorry.
And the maitre d'.
You know what? We can't have cut the trash. Can we edit? I'm trying to appeal to a classy crowd here, and I got creases all over this.
Yeah, it's not gonna fly. So the maitre d' had the busboy strip the entire table down, iron the tablecloth, and then reset it right on his lunch break before lunch started, right? And this busboy was having a rough day.
Wow.
Because that day was first day, and that was the first day I was there, and this single crease, probably as wide as a quarter, that was unacceptable. Right? Now, later on that day, part of the reason was there was a VIP group, international IT company was coming in to celebrate something. There's 24 people in this party, and they were having canapes on the terrace to start.
Okay.
And it was beautiful. We're talking like this is a French castle. Right?
Wow.
It only seats maybe 30 people, right?
Oh wow.
And there's probably 36 staff working into this restaurant. And everyone is standing on the terrace, and it looks over this beautiful like natural field. And they're serving a couple different types of champagne, and a guest lights a cigarette.
Lights a cigarette. Okay, this is in France, so I don't quite know what the smoking rules are.
No, it's like every smokes, you just smoke. It's
Okay,
just fine.
okay.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
But the busboy had forgot to put out ashtrays.
Ooh.
Yeah. So he got a proper dressing down in the dining room. And when he went and found the ashtrays to bring them out, the ashtrays hadn't been polished. They'd been washed, they were clean, but they had fingerprints on them. And this was unacceptable. So that was the end of the day for him. Right? So me as a new guy who doesn't speak very good French, I had to then take out
The ashtrays.
I was super happy that I got to do this. So I could take out the ashtrays. Right? So Canadian Red Seal chef.
Yes.
15 years of service experience, worked in fine dining, whole life, nothing compares to like the level of service that is expected, but that is executed. And these guys, this is in their DNA, right?
Wow.
So it was like, and I remember when I was my French was terrible, and so I was the wrong person. But then that day, I felt very fortunate that one of the tables in this party in this restaurant, they were from Ohio.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
so when they found out that I spoke English, all of a sudden I was the most popular guy in the dining room that day because I was able to translate everything for them because they were feeling really overwhelmed.
Oh,
right?
perfect.
Yeah. So it was really cool. So I got to actually like take part in service, and so. And I got to bond with the executive chef, was just an absolute maniac. The guy was incredible. The food, everything was perfect. Every aspect of everything was perfect. Wow. And we bonded over fly fishing.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah, so it was like we both fly fished, so we got to chat about that. So it was like this was the sort of thing. So when I think about like I was in that same trip, I was sort of traveling across, and I was in Switzerland, and we I was at a bar with Chef Dan McCowan.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So we were from Red House. So when we were in this bar, and again, it was back to that idea of every single aspect of everything was perfect. And that's a hard thing I don't know what if I haven't had that example of service in Canada.
In Canada.
Like I've had a mate, like I'm not talking like, we're not talking good food. Yes. Right? We're not talking about the best meals I've ever had have been in Canada. The friendliest service I've ever had has been in Canada.
Sure.
Right? But when we're talking about
The execution.
technical perfection in the execution of service.
Yes.
That's a different thing.
Right.
Right. And I think that when I think of Michelin, because before I had that experience, I didn't know. I thought it was like, oh, the food's really incredible. Well, yeah, food's incredible. Food, like in this day and age, food has to be incredible. Whether you're a taco stand or whether you're
true. Yeah, otherwise you're not around for long.
Whether you're the Daily Grill doing family meals, right? The food has to be incredible. There's no question about it. So it's not about food, right? Service, like we think about friendly service. We have to be friendly, right?
Yes.
Because that's what makes society worth living in, is having friendly people, being kind to each other. That's not what it's about either, right? It's about the technical aspects. When you look at something, is it perfect?
Is it perfect?
Right.
And is it the knowledge base of the staff then too, and sort of...
It's not even the knowledge base of a single staff member. It's like the collective knowledge of the staff. Like it's not just the chef. It's not just the servers or the maitre d' or the owner or the sommelier. It's everyone... In my perspective, it's how every single one of those people works. You have a great chef who's an asshole that runs everything.
True.
You have a great maitre d' that knows everything, but nobody doesn't know how to teach people how to do it properly, so they can execute it. It's not just the knowledge of those individuals. It's the whole group working together to achieve perfection, right? And so it was like, and not just like, guests can be unpredictable.
True.
Right? Well, this is like taking into consideration everything that could go wrong and having contingencies upon contingencies
for everything.
We don't run out of things. We don't.
Right.
There's no excuses, right?
But I guess the other thing that's jumping to my mind is when I just thinking back to Odd Duck. So the food was good.
Yeah.
Actually, really good.
Yeah, they're good.
You
had a great chef and a great sommelier running a restaurant.
Yeah,
right?
well, I didn't have the wine. I just said beer, but that's fine. Is it like a Michelin star thing to like not tip though? Because to me, it's included in the price, cool, but I don't know. Like I was never a server, but like a tip is for the server. I've always felt that, and it's like paying for a flat fee and the service was good too, but like, who's to say I wouldn't have tipped more?
Okay.
Is that a Michelin thing?
No.
Okay.
No.
Right.
Well, no.
Like, I'm happy that I get to tip your folks properly.
Right. And my folks are happy they get tips, right? So, I'm not here to throw shade on anybody, but I think I have been successful in the restaurant business because of hard work. Okay. And I haven't always been the friendliest guy. There's lots of staff, lots of people hate me. And I'm sure it's fine. I'm fine with it. There's lots of people that like me. There's lots of people that have worked for me for a long time. There's lots of people that, you know what I mean, that I've impacted positively or negatively, whatever. But I've been successful. I don't come from a rich family, right? I come from a normal, like, middle-class family, right? It was, my folks helped me out when I needed it, when I got started, and I'm always grateful for that. The cool thing about tipping is that it's out of the hands of the owner, right? It's a gratuity. You're showing you're grateful, showing your thanks to the server that served you. Now as owners, we can implement rules about how much gets tipped out to the kitchen. Right? But when you think about by upping the prices, if I could take all my wait staff who do very well, like they do far better than I do, if I took all of my wait staff was making, I said, okay, I'm going to pay you $30 an hour.
Sure.
Right? And I raised all my prices by 20%.
To reflect it.
Right.
Sure.
Who's benefiting from that?
Oh, you for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm taking it from the staff.
Right.
Right? When I pay the staff, I think like Trunk pays better than minimum wage, right?
Yes.
We have very high expectations of our staff and their knowledge and all that stuff, right? But then we also look at the gratuity as like the opportunity for them to hustle. Now they do a thing called tip pooling, right? So they share all their tips equally together, and there's this magic algorithm that we use to like who gets X number of, because the hours they're working, the sales per hour, and blah blah blah. It's just very complicated, but it's very equitable for all the people. And then they tip out the kitchen. And the kitchen gets paid pretty well, right? But those are the harder they work, the more money they make.
Right.
Right. And so it's like that way they make far more than what I would ever be able to afford to pay them. Right.
Fair.
If I said right now, tomorrow, okay, all the staff at Trunk is going to make $100,000 a year.
Sure.
Right. We would be able to stay in business. Oh, probably 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? And then we'd be out of business.
Sure.
Right? That'd be the end of that, and they'd all be out of jobs.
Yeah.
Right. If we figured out a long time ago that we pay all of our staff the absolute most amount that we could possibly pay them, right, without going out of business, because we know that without the staff, without happy staff,
the service falls apart.
Yeah. Right. And creating a culture where, I'm the wrong person to talk about this because I'm like taking a sabbatical from the restaurant game, but it's like without the happy servers are good servers.
Yeah.
Right? Happy servers are happy. They're financially secure.
Correct.
Right. And that makes them comfortable, and they're comfortable. They can be themselves. They can be authentic. Right. If we paid everybody $40 an hour,
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not enough. Right. To do
everything else.
Right. But that's also too much. The restaurant can't afford that.
Right.
Right. So it's like, you got to find that happy medium, right? Where it's like the restaurant can make money and be profitable, and I can put a little bit of money in my pocket.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
They have an opportunity to sell, to make tips, right? So they can put a lot of money in their pocket.
Yeah.
Right. And it works for everybody.
But then also through almost, because especially with your algorithm and so forth, to me, would almost the level of service would almost govern itself, because the other staff are going to you still notice what your coworkers are doing.
Yeah.
Right. Like it almost manages itself that way, because it'd be like, hey, pick it up. I notice you're hobbling, like you're a little bit.
Well, no, and more like it's like people
what?
are going to be like, everybody wants. You gotta like understand, like servers are inherently good, kind people. They want to help each other.
Sure, yeah,
right. But when you're tip sharing, you're tip pooling, it helps everybody help each other, right? You can create strong teams. When somebody's doing a poor job, everybody's there to help them out. Right. If somebody sucks at serving, they're going to get voted off the island pretty quick.
Well, fair enough.
That's the other part of it, right? It's going to be sort of self-regulating. And it's like when we look at, when you look at evaluating staff, you can look at tips and say, okay, like, you're going to average of 20%. And that's good. But then sometimes they have a bad week. Right. And they're like, oh, you're down to 17%. And they had a bad week. Next week, they're up to 22%.
Fair.
And you can look at that, sort of how that ebbs and flows and whatnot. And it's like, but at the end of the day, is staff, are they happy? Right?
Fair.
And it's like, because everybody, like in that sort of restaurant relationship, everybody has to be happy. The guests have to be happy, right? Because if the guests aren't happy, they're not coming back, right? The servers have to be happy, because if the servers aren't happy, then they're not doing a very good job serving. Ownership has to be happy, because if they're not making money, right, this isn't this is a game, right?
Yeah,
like, this is
it's a reason we're doing this.
There's a reason why we're doing this. It's a business, right? So it's like, we talk about passion,
we
want, but at the end of the day, it's got to pay the bills.
Well, but I guess to sort of come full circle on a tipping, no tipping, there's no doubt that Odd Duck does a good job with their food.
Oh, they're restaurant.
But I never plan ahead enough, so I'm probably just going to go to Grand Trunk. So, because I'm not booking not doing it.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Just feed me, man. Sit down. Yeah. So I guess circling somewhat through that, the food culture of Kitchener-Waterloo has come a long way, or it's changed. Whether it's come a long way or not, but I still can get some good sauerkraut thanks to your recipe. We still have some good, summer sausage around here, and then some. where do you see it going? Where do you see it shifting? What are you? Okay, how about this? What things do you necessarily not love that you've seen, or what certain things that have excited you within the local?
I'll be
sort of
honest
food
with
culture?
you. The thing that's excited me most about the local food culture is not being part of it.
Yeah.
So I've recently, I bought a great house. Darryl Watty was my realtor.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Great guy.
Thank you. Yeah.
I bought a house in Elmira.
Okay.
And
Yep.
I cannot tell you how much I've lived my entire life downtown.
Right.
Right. And I bought a house in Elmira.
Well, you're a fisherman though, and you're a hunter as well. That's what you do in your spare time.
I hunt. I fish. My family, my mom's side of the family was Mennonite.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No, didn't know that.
Oh, that's why back to my people.
Okay, so that's why you're so good at charcuterie.
Yeah. And so we bought this house, and I fell in love with food, like Ontario or like Waterloo region food culture.
Okay.
Now, Waterloo region food culture is funny because when I was in France, one of the questions that when I came back to the college, one of the questions that I had to answer to was, how can we improve Canadian food culture? And the truth of it is that French food culture and Canadian food culture are two completely different things that are irreconcilable. They will never be the same,
okay.
right? When we think about food culture, Canadian food culture, Ontario food culture, Waterloo region food culture, we have such an amazing, rich history in this area, and our food is phenomenal, and it's completely underappreciated. Okay, we do not think about, if I say, okay, what do you think about Ontario food, or let's say Waterloo region food culture? What's Waterloo region food culture?
To me, it's schnitzel, and it's Oktoberfest sausage, and it's the time where, let's be honest, that's when you will see me at Beer Town to take their specials. Yeah. Because...
No, you're wrong.
Okay, I'm wrong.
Sure, you're wrong. Okay. What's in your freezer?
What's in my freezer?
Yeah.
A lot of beef.
Yeah, a lot of beef. You like beef?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it it's local?
Good point. Yeah. It's not local beef.
How do you prepare it?
Depending on how much time I have. Yeah. So it's either short ribs is the boys' favorite thing.
Yeah.
If I got time to do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll flip it into a taco meat because it's about whatever the kids do.
Yeah.
So taco meat, or I'll make my own burgers that kind of have an oxtail sort of flavor to it.
So that's cool because what you're talking about is this Waterloo region food culture has gotten very convenience based, right? And that's the one thing I don't love. But funnily enough, I agree with you. Like schnitzel, Oktoberfest, we got some really cool, strong like German influence things, right? But we think about summer sausage, we think about Oktoberfest sausage, we think about pierogies, right?
Yes.
We think about sauerkraut, apples.
Oh, hot dogs too.
Hot dogs, right? 100%. All these things are these are rich parts of our history that we don't really think about because they're convenient and they're easy and they're not glamorous, right?
True.
But we are part of a very sort of agrarian. This was a farming community,
True.
right? That's just kind of grown. So a lot of that food is think about apple butter, think about maple butter, think about braised Brussels sprouts with bacon, right? And we think about today I brought you some summer sausage.
Ooh.
Right? So this is not your traditional summer sausage. This is black bear summer sausage. Okay.
Cool.
So this is
Ooh.
So
that's good.
Yeah.
Not really that gamey either.
No. This is our friends of CJ Brewbaker Meats, right? And so they make whenever kill a bear, right, in the spring, or in the early fall. Then I'll take 30-40 pounds in there, and I'll have them make up summer sausage. And they've been probably making the same recipe for the last 200 years, right? Wow. And so it's when we think about food culture in this region, it's butter tarts, right? Sure. It's sugar pies. It's you know what I mean?
Sugar pies.
Right. You think about the things that like we take for granted because they're just simple foods.
Right.
Right. It doesn't have to be, you know, it was funny in France, you're in a restaurant that's been around for 200 years and they've had the same 5 things on the menu for 200 years. Guess what? You get good at it.
Right. That's a good point.
After, you know, we haven't been around that long, right? But when we think about, you know, just because maybe, you know what I mean, your schnitzel and sauerkraut and, you know, boiled red potatoes, not very Instagrammable.
True.
Right? So not popular, but we have it in our fridge, right?
True.
We have it in our freezer. Right?
Yes.
Everybody, I think we could break into anybody's house in this region and go through their freezer. The chances are we're going to find a bag of frozen pierogies.
Yeah, we got
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's part of our food culture. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you know, honey crullers and apple fritters, right? And it's like all these things, and we don't appreciate those things because they're not pretty.
Yes,
right?
it's true. Yeah.
And I think that's like one of the things that I've been super like taking a break from working in the restaurants and taking a break from. I think that's one of the things that like I've been super happy with, and like since I came back from France, it's been like sort of chasing this. I think as chefs, we're always chasing getting further back to like the root of things, right? Whether it's having a garden or whether it's hunting or whether it's fishing or whether it's foraging or whatever it is, right? We're trying to get to the root of things. And I think that's going to France and seeing food culture and talking to French chefs and working in Michelin restaurants and like talking to people about food, right? Yes. And like their relationship with food, right? And realizing like they have a pride in their food culture that we don't have in ours because we take ours for granted.
It's true.
Right? We don't think about the things that, you know what I mean? The things that ketchup. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it's part of our food culture, whether you like it or not, right? It's not glamorous, right? And it's not romantic, right? But it's ours.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like we can lean into it and be like, in the fall I eat apples. I eat a lot of apples, right?
Sure.
I make a ton of sauerkraut,
yes.
right? My house stinks from fermenting cabbage,
yes.
right? You know what I mean? My basement has 50 pounds of
hanging sausage.
Meat,
yeah,
right? It smells like a smokehouse. That's food culture, right? And that's the thing that like makes it. That's cool, right? And it's not pretty, right? But it's ours.
It's our own, and it's effective, and that's why we've had.
And that's why we love it, right?
Right?
And maybe it doesn't look good on Instagram, but it's ours.
Add some chives to the pierogies.
Right? Call it creme fraiche instead of sour cream.
That's right. So. Well, I do have to talk. I'm taking up a lot of your time, but I'm really enjoying this. As an instructor. When you have a new student coming in, like what are you? I'm sure you have your course mandates or whatever and everything. But like when they're done the course, what do you kind of want to leave them with? What do you want them to understand before they go on their way?
That's a good question. I think I want you want the nuts and bolts answer.
However,
the nuts and bolts answer is that. I want them to go into the industry with confidence.
Okay.
They don't know how. They're not going to know how to do everything, right? They're probably not even actually know how to do a lot of stuff, but they're going to have the confidence to go in there and learn, right? Because you know what I mean. College or any kind of like education isn't a substitute for experience,
sure.
Right? But what college does, or what any kind of I shouldn't say college, what any sort of education does, it cuts down the learning curve,
right?
It gives you a safe place to make mistakes, to learn systems, to see what outcomes look like, so that when you go into the industry or you continue in the industry or you go into a new industry, whatever it is that you understand what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think that the thing that I like seeing the most, like working with students, like the first day, right? Some of them, the first day, they've only been in the country for a couple weeks, right? Other ones have grown up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? Pardon me. And then the 3 years later, watching them leave and seeing how they've changed, right? That they're like, do they know everything about service? Probably not. Do they know everything about wine? No. Do they know everything about coffee service or fine dining or, you know, even what fork to use in different situations? Probably not. but they have now the confidence going to actually learn that stuff, right? And that's what's going to make them better. And so I think it's like getting away from that idea that it's like, you're going to spend so many hours a week with me. You're going to be a great server.
Yeah.
No, right? Come see me in 20 years, right after you've done this same thing 10,000 times.
But don't get shocked and run away.
Right. This is it.
Like
now you have the mental
this.
fortitude to be successful. So I think that's the thing. Right.
Guys, if that, to me, goosebumps just came, that's not just food and beverage. That's not just hospitality.
No.
And that's not just you, that's not just a student, right? That's you, that's me.
Well, anytime you do something,
right?
Every time we do, absolutely.
That's everybody.
You think about your first time you had to stand in front of clients.
Yeah. No, man.
Right? If you didn't have some experience leading up to that moment, or the first time you screwed up.
Yeah.
Like imagine, like you think
it can happen. But
for us, we've had these great careers.
Yeah.
For 20 years, we've been doing this thing. Like, holy crap, man! Some of the mistakes I've made.
Yeah.
Like,
but then you bounce.
well, you bounce. But the only reason that we have the only reason we can bounce is
Yeah.
because of our experience. You know what I mean? And I think that's the like. You get crushed,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's like, I see a lot of people that don't make it in the industry, and it's because whether it's your industry or my industry or whoever's industry, it's not because they were bad people or they're stupid or they're whatever, right? It's that they didn't have the experience necessary to face some of the problems, right? And I think that's where it's like, that's what I like about formal education. That's what I like about apprenticeships. That's what I like about people going to college and stuff like that. It's like, it shows that you care. Right?
Yeah,
and that
pay attention.
You're paying attention to it. You want to be successful.
And get your experiences.
Yep.
And appreciate every day.
Yep.
And carpe diem, and cheers with a little Holly's coffee. Chef.
Cheers.
Sorry, Darryl Haus. Chef, I appreciate you immensely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for jumping on.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right.